Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
It's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney.
It is the drama that just keeps going.
We're going to talk about the Scarlett Johansson situation that the judge removed himself, or is going to possibly remove himself, over the conflict of interest.
Yes, well, there's good reason that he should be removing himself, actually.
Yeah, did it turn out he worked for Disney?
No, he worked for the law firm that's representing Disney.
Oh, yeah, that could be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, big one. So, before we get into it.
Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 232,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciate it. We do talk about Disney. We talk about pop culture, whatever interests us that day. So it's a very varied channel.
That's right.
We don't just, hammer. There are some things that we like that we talk about, or really don't like and we talk about. But, we're general pop culture. We have been covering the Scarlett Johansson situation. Mm-hmm. And, part of the reason we've been covering it is, one, it dovetails with the Disney coverage, but two, it's going to set a precedent, and we'll talk about that later, that this situation is going to change the way that Hollywood cuts deals.
Well, they already were saying that because of the streaming services being the way they were, and they didn't want to have to pay residuals, that they were going to probably change the way they do deals moving forward anyway. But this is just, bringing another facet to that. So
yeah, and I think what we're going to see potentially, and I've said this before, is kind of the decline of the Hollywood movie star. I think as things kind of transition to streaming into Netflix, you're going to have people not getting these multi-million dollar deals.
Well, they already said they're going to stop doing the multi-picture deals and things like that pretty soon.
Kind of picture by picture basis.
Project by project.
And what's going to happen then is and we're kind of already seeing, I think, with the MCU, it seems like they're replacing everybody with, frankly, cheaper actors. They've got people they'll come in and do TV. They're keeping some of the B-listers from the movies, but they're probably never going to get Robert Downey Jr. to do a show.
I don't know. They might have, but he
doesn't seem to really care.
He doesn't seem to care too much. But
who knows? Who knows?
This situation. Okay, so for those who don't know, Scarlett Johansson filed a suit against the Disney Company on July 29th, saying it was a breach of contract, mostly in regards to Marvel. Yeah. But because Disney, I think they said it against Disney because Disney's the one who I think was at fault in the regard that they wanted it on Disney Plus. Okay, from my understanding. So, and then Disney wanted to go to arbitration because of course they do, because that kept more quiet and it's not going to be out for everybody to see, and she doesn't want that, because she's already, made a big deal of it. So they filed last Friday to go to arbitration. Now here's where it gets weird. The judge that's been assigned to the case, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Robert S. Draper, removed himself because he used to be a partner at the, I don't know how to say that, Melvini and Myers, because he left.
M&M.
He was a partner at O.M&M. Until he left, until he left in 2005. Okay, I can't talk today. But he still gets over $100,000 a year in monthly pensions from the firm. Okay, now this firm all represented Disney before with their lawsuit about Michael Jackson's estate over an ABC special and the Zootopia copyright lawsuit.
Yeah, that kind of went down the memory hole, didn't it?
The guy was trying to get it again. But the guy that you always hear that's quote from Disney that's slamming on Johansson is this Daniel Petrocelli.
Yeah.
He's the vice chair of the firm of the O'Melvini trial practice and vice chair. And so, it could be possible they work together. But so the judge had to, say, hey, this is a conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's...
Because it is.
That's really interesting. I mean, it at least they're not going for... Well, anything like that, I mean, they have to, disclose that. And this is, part of the process, because they're looking at trying to get arbitration for this case because they're trying to hide a lot of the details of...
That's why they were mad at her for not going to arbitration and going to the media.
Yeah, because we've told people before, that is Disney's only weakness.
She knows it.
It's anybody who's worked around this company knows. Disney's only kryptonite is media, bad press. And that's why, we had the SEC whistleblower went to the media because they knew. Now her life has been unfortunately destroyed from what I understand. But, you know, Disney tries to cut deals on the back end.
It's a family company.
Yep, to make sure that things never get out. So there's a lot of dismal Disney news that you're not hearing because
or you won't hear about after a certain point.
Yep, because they throw money at problems to make them go away.
Money makes the badness go away. So yeah, so he's going to pull himself from this case, which he should. But the people that were like, oh, it's a callous disregard for, you know, the situation of the pandemic and about money. I think it's funny because they themselves, want to use a pandemic when it's convenient.
Yeah.
But I will say that I do not think it was a misogynistic comment. They keep trying to say it's misogyny, but it really wasn't. It was just about like, oh, she wants money and that's shitty in this pandemic. But it didn't go the way Disney wanted or thought, and everybody's turning against Disney. The media, everyone.
Yeah, and this is what they call it, a bad look. This is a bad look because what this is doing, and we saw, we had Elizabeth Olsen supporting Scarlett Johansson, but what this is doing is sending a flare up to other celebrities, other actors and actresses to stay the hell away from Disney or make sure you negotiate a much, much better contract. So this is pretty interesting stuff. Go to the Hollywood Reporter. They had an article they put up this morning talking about how this situation is going to change everything in Hollywood.
I think so, yes. I think it was already changing, but this is really going to speed that up.
Well, yeah, because this is one of the first times that, well, it's not the first time. It's the first time there's been a lawsuit, but before, like, Warner Brothers with HBO Max, they were bringing movies to, HBO Max instead of the theater or simultaneously, and they had to throw money at people to make them happy. There were a lot of very unhappy directors and actors, and they threw extra money at them. Now, as far as we know, Disney never offered to do that. If Disney had thrown an extra $20-30 million at Scarlett Johansson, she might have kept her mouth shut.
Well, apparently, the lawyer or the person, chief counsel at Marvel, had told her in 2019 that if it changed that in this article, that they would let her know, which I've read several other places before.
Yeah, so it's interesting to read this because it said, contrary to what outsiders might expect about Hollywood deal-making, not every point in an actor's contract is negotiate to its zenith. A lot of shorthand is used, and the parties accept a great deal of ambiguity almost by design. So it's kind of like it's like a handshake deal on paper. And everybody, that's why the agencies, I think, flipped out like they did when they disclosed Scarlett Johansson's salary, because they were like, this is, even though there's nothing legally saying you're not allowed to do that, this is not how we do things here. That's that. They said, in fact, one of the top talent lawyers put it, anonymously, of course, to avoid this quote ever being used against clients, if you're going to ask for something, better be sure you'll get it. Often the smart ones conclude it's in the best interest not to raise the issue. The last thing you wish to create is clarity that you don't have what you wanted. So in Johansson's situation, in some respects, she may be in a better legal position than other actors upset how streaming has interfered with their back ends. Although it wasn't highlighted in her suit, her team plans to stress that her Black Widow contract didn't include a standard distribution control provision.
Because it was made before they had Disney+.
Yeah, before they launched it, which gives studios discretion on how they license a motion picture. Johansson's camp is also emphasizing a 2019 email from Marvel's chief counsel stating, "We totally understand that Scarlett's willingness to do the film and her whole deal is based on the premise that the film would be widely theatrically released like our other pictures. We understand that should the plan change, we would need to discuss this with you and come to an understanding, as the deal is based on a series of very large box office bonuses." Okay,
so most of her money was tied up in the box office bonuses. And they did release it to 9,000 theaters. The problem is that because they did a split release, they are arguing, I think, that people stayed home and watched it on Premiere and Disney Premiere Plus, or Premiere Plus, whatever the hell they call it, and that they didn't go to the theater. And at the time, Disney, I don't think, was giving her a cut of that. Now, if they're filing, I guess they're saying, oh, we'll give you a cut of that too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. This is an attorney reading the Marvel email. So this is going to be used against them because basically regardless of whether, it's technically a Disney attorney, even though he's a Marvel attorney, saying, yeah, this is for theatrical. If we decide to change that, we'll need to go back to the drawing board and draft up a new contract. And they never, apparently she tried to get them to do that and they wouldn't do it. He's saying this is our plan, said one attorney. That's a red flag. What do you mean it's our plan? That's our deal. Plans change, agreements don't.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is we're going to see more ridiculous contracts, I think, that spells out the nitty gritty of every damn thing that could potentially go wrong, no matter how unlikely it is. I mean, who could have foreseen a global pandemic?
Right.
So they might even have like a freaking alien invasion clause. Like, should we be invaded by the aliens that have been disclosed in the UFOs and
well, it's
their
our
aliens?
plan that they don't.
It's our plan that we don't have an alien invasion. It's our plan that we don't have a nuclear war. But here's the clause dealing with that. If we have a nuclear war and 3/4 of the Earth is dead or suffering from radiation poisoning, you do understand that your box office take is likely to be less than it would have been if everyone was still alive, correct? Right. And initial here if you understand that. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. But I think what's going to happen, she might get, a big paycheck. I think she's probably done with Disney. And I think Disney going forward is going to clamp down on their talent. I think they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to write a more ironclad contract. I mean, we signed a contract with them when we had our stuff optioned, and they were basically like, yeah, if we happen to come up with something that's exactly like your thing.
It's not because it's your thing.
It's not because it's your thing.
And you understand that, right?
You understand that, right?
If we maybe possibly appropriate some of your ideas for a show that we were already developing that was listed as something else, and it comes out having a lot of similar ideas to yours, including the name change, that's just purely accidental. And I may or may not be speaking from experience.
Yeah, so when you sign this contract, you're signing away all rights to sue us. And that'll probably be something they put in there too. They'll probably have like the change of plans clause. Like if we decide to renege on our deal, you're not allowed to sue us for that. Like we're gonna, it's gonna be very fluid. It's gonna be a very fluid situation.
That's right, yeah.
You're going to get hosed with those
basically
fluids.
Yes, pretty much.
So we're going to wrap this one up?
Yep.
All right, guys. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.